The foundation of any successful campaign, brief, is very, very important. It's more than just a document,
You can get groupthink, and that's bad. But with the right kind of facilitation and mindset, a group of people will always come up with a better solution.
Let's discuss how sales enablement can bridge gaps and drive alignment within team.
There's a way to structure creativity in a team.
Did you know that 70% of marketers identify poor communication as their biggest hurdle to success? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, SK. Today, we are diving into the transformative power of creativity, communication, and storytelling for small businesses. Joining us today is Marty Goldberg, founder of ThinkDo, a consultancy focused on marketing and sales enablement. Marty is a fractional CMO and omnichannel marketing strategist with decades of experience helping small businesses turn ideas into impactful stories and result driven strategy. His career includes collaboration with leading brands like Bayer, Aspirin, and Pepsi. And he also shares his expertise by teaching omnichannel marketing to postgraduate students at George Brown College. Get ready to learn from Martin's wisdom and unmatched expertise. Join us as we uncover how to write better briefs, align sales and marketing teams, and unlock the creativity within all of us. Marty, good morning. Welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much for coming to our studio. Let's start with your story. Can you share how you got started?
By accident. Everything's been an accident. I came to Toronto for love while I was in university, and I got a part-time job selling neighborhood yellow pages door to door.
Which year was that?
That was a while ago. As some people say, it was a while ago. I was in my third year of university.
Okay.
Teledirect Publications owned the Yellow Pages, and they started a neighborhood Yellow Page directory.
Mhm.
And they hired a bunch of students from business and economics. I was in an economics program at the university. And I got my first real job in sales. I was handed a stack of leads and a TTC pass
Mhm.
and a neighborhood and given a couple weeks of training. And I went out to advise small business owners that by advertising your business, you can show and sell and all the other stuff that went with it. Color is very important in a black and white book. So that was my first sales training experience. And then I came here to do an MBA because I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I worked during the day at a sampling company. We put together sample packs of products called the Baby Pack or the Teen Pack. People may have purchased them at Shoppers Drug Mart. And that was a collection of sample sizes of packaged goods products that were targeted, let's say, in the Teen Pack to young women or men. And our jobs as the salespeople was to contact the packaged goods manufacturers, persuade them of the benefits of sampling, talk about the leaky bucket. You put things in the top, customers, but they fall out the bottom. So you got to keep putting new ones in the top. And the most effective method of generating trial is sampling. I can still do it. It's a while ago. That gave me exposure to packaged good manufacturers, brand managers, VPs of marketing, procurement, selling the benefit and not the feature. And it was a very narrow slice of what was called sales promotion. I think it's called brand activation these days, which is all part of omnichannel marketing. So the language changes, but the ideas are the same. You want to put your product in somebody's hand, or you want to put your service in somebody's hands. The experience was good. I then looked for a job in something called sales promotion, and I wanted to be on the agency side. And I found a job with a small division called the Gaylord Group or Gaylord Plan Promotions of a large printing company that was not located far from here.
Okay.
And it had Heidelberg presses and tons of inventory, and they were going bankrupt. And they did. And what happened was 6 or 8 of us who were left in the small promotion group got spun out. and we were acquired by the Teachers Pension Fund, and we were rebranded, and then we were sold to a large agency network called BBDO, one of the largest advertising networks in the world. And I was a account lead and strategic director, and then eventually the managing director of an agency of 65 people who did sales promotion, direct marketing, public relations, retail. And that was a journey of about 10 years. I learned a lot about business, marketing, creativity, people, management. I was headhunted out of there. I went to a privately held integrated agency out of Montreal called OSL Marketing, where I became a partner here in Toronto. We also were right up the street from here on Satellite Drive. And we had clients like Aeroplan and Bayer and a number of Quaker Tropicana, Pepsi Tropicana Quaker. They're called PT. I don't remember what they're called anymore.
Right.
Large brands that people are familiar with, and our responsibility was to help them spend their marketing dollars.
Right. So you started your career as a salesperson, and you have come a long way, right?
I guess I've come a long way.
Right.
Although in the end, if you're in business, you're selling.
Right.
You're selling your idea, you're selling your service, and you're selling confidence and
Right.
trust.
Now let's deep dive into our podcast today, with the importance of brief. So the foundation of any successful campaign, the brief is very, very important. It's more than just a document, it's a strategic tool that sets the stage for everything that follows. Marty, what strategies do you employ when crafting a brief, and why is it essential for driving successful outcomes?
Excellent question. I didn't make this up, and I don't know who said it exactly the first time. A brief, well written, is the problem mostly solved, or 80% solved, or 90% solved. And I'm a really big believer in that. I think it's important to write things down and review them and simplify them. Oftentimes, people have a lot of objectives. We want to do this and that and this and that and the other. And all of those things are, sure, you want to do them. I think the role of somebody who is either helping respond to the brief or think through the brief. In the case in my career, it's been I'm the agency person taking a brief from a client or helping them write it. I want to make sure that the problem is as tightly defined as possible. What is the one outcome we're shooting for? Yes, we want many, many different outcomes. I remember many briefs like this. I'll think of an example from a company that is no longer called Shearing Plow, but the brand exists, called Coppertone Sunscreen. And I'm pretty sure the objective was, during the peak season, spring and summer, we want to sell more Coppertone through our primary channel, which was probably Shoppers Drug Mart at the time. So that's the brief. Although in the brief it also said, we want to educate people about the efficacy of sunscreen. We want to let people know that we have PABA 2 and that at an SPF of 50, and that we have this lovely scented product. And in fact, if you buy this scent, you'll feel like, okay, it's a lot of things a person wants to say, and it's usually too much for somebody to solve for. So simplify, nub it down to the most basic definition of the problem in the fewest words possible. Sure, include the relevant information, the constraints. I've got a budget. We've got timing. We've got legal constraints. We have a scientific review, whatever the situation is. But make sure you focus a lot of time on getting the question properly asked. One of the things that I think I have some skill in, and people have told me, is asking the right questions so that you actually get to the right brief. And spending more time up front really smooths the process out. I think I can give you an example, a recent example. A friend of mine who is a creative director in a large agency and I were speaking, and she's experienced, and I've worked with her in previous agencies, and she's a wonderful person. But she was commenting that a lot of the younger people in the agency that are less experienced will take a brief from a client, and then they will invest a lot of the agency's time and resources coming up with all kinds of things that may or may not be on point, because they may not have had the audacity or the relationship to be able to ask the client heart to heart, well, what is it we really want to accomplish? How is your career going to be advanced by accomplishing this objective?
Asking the right questions.
Asking the right questions,
Right.
writing them down,
Right.
simplifying, getting the extraneous stuff put aside. That's what I think about a brief.
Right. That's really fascinating, Marty. It really underscores how clarity in planning can really make execution so much smoother. Marty, what advice would you give to small business owners, who are struggling to distill complex ideas into actionable plans?
Complex ideas into actionable plans. Simplification. Back to simplification. The idea that um, writing something down and rewriting it, go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, how can I simplify this big problem that I'm having? What is the simplest possible way I can express this problem as a question? That's number one, maybe, simplification. Number two is remember you're not alone. You sometimes as a owner, you feel alone. You feel lonely. Oh, I got a lot of pressure and responsibilities. I got to make a living. I got to provide for my family. I got to provide for my staff. I got to grow. I have investors. You're not alone. And have the confidence to know that there are people who care about you, who love you, who want you to succeed. Engage those people in helping you solve the problem. A group of people will always come up with a better solution than an individual acting alone. Properly managed or curated. I mean, you can get groupthink, and that's bad. But with the right kind of facilitation and mindset, a group of people will always come up with a better solution. So you're not alone. If you have people you trust on your team, great. If you don't have somebody on your team that you currently trust, find somebody. Hire a coach, a strategic consultant. Join a group where you can be a partner with other business owners and every week get together and share key lessons and ask each other, Q&As and get strengthening from each other. Community makes an individual stronger. So find your community that will help you think about your question. I'd also say pause and set time aside. So don't jump to judgment. Write the question down. Let it percolate. You may come up with a solution while you're sleeping and not know about it.
Mhm.
And you may see things a little bit differently tomorrow than you did kind of this morning. So, write it down, simplify, work with a good team, give yourself some time, make the time, like set aside the time, book a meeting with yourself
Right.
if you're going to kind of come to it. It's a process, right? And then put a process in place so that when you come across those decisions, you can make them. I recently read Scott Adams' book about he created the Dilbert comic strip. Very creative guy who's had a lot of challenges in his life, and I can't remember the title of the book exactly. It's something like How to Fail Over and Over Again and Still Succeed in the End. It's not exactly that. One of the things I took away was the importance of the system. He said something like, goals are for losers.
Mhm.
Systems work. And if you have a system for decision making, or here's how I manage complex problems, I'm going to get a framework. I'm going to work that system. I'm going to, etc. Set time aside. Engage 3 people. Think about it. Write down 3 answers. Put it aside, whatever your system is. Use the system. And you may fail at that system a couple of times. But if you rely on the system and are aware that you're using a system, eventually you'll have success. That's what Scott Adams says. And that works for me.
Thank you so much for sharing those insights. As you rightly said, a meticulously prepared brief can revolutionize how we approach challenges, leading to remarkably successful outcomes. Dear listeners, did you know that 70% of marketers identify poor communication as their biggest hurdle to success? Clear and concise briefs are not just a routine step, they are your secret weapon for driving alignment, efficiency, and outstanding results. A well crafted brief not only sets the tone for your projects but also ensures everyone is on the same page, fostering better collaboration and strong outcomes. Take the time to create briefs that inspire and empower your team to perform at the best. Let's discuss how sales enablement can bridge gaps and drive alignment within teams. Martin, sales enablement is about aligning your sales and marketing teams to tell the same story. This is even more crucial in today's fast-paced B2B landscape. How do you define sales enablement and why is it so important in today's business environment?
Sales enablement is what the owners need to use, or the stakeholders need to use, to close more deals. I mean, that's usually what we're briefed with. We want to increase revenue. I've never had a brief that said, can you shrink our revenue? Can you increase our costs, right? The briefs are always, how do we grow revenue? Sometimes they're about loyalty, there are other things, but that's the primary thing. So sales enablement is giving the sales organization, and I want to talk about who is in sales in a minute, the sales organization, the tools, the framework, and the content. Like we talk about content marketing a lot, the story, right? What are the features and benefits? What are the pain points? Who is the persona? So all of that stuff comes up under sales enablement, which is a new word, and it's just a word, which means a process to help people sell more and close more. So I think of, there's a lot of terminology in marketing, and a lot of acronyms.
Right.
What's CPC and how is that? What is performance PM, performance marketing, and who is your whatever? Marketing is very sophisticated in science, and I've read a lot of books and been in it my whole life and taught a course at George Brown College on omnichannel marketing to people and quite enjoyed that. Who says what to whom and how do you say it? So there's 4 things to think about in a brief or in a marketing campaign or in your brand story. Who is the communicator? And it could be the brand voice. I think there's a now bankrupt furniture chain. I think they're bankrupt, called Bad Boy. I don't know. Mel Lastman, ex-mayor of North York, he and his son were in business together. Bad Boy Furniture. And he would get on the commercial at the end of each one and he'd go, nobody does it better.
Right.
So he, in a sense, was the who, the voice, in public, in the media. At the same time, the salesperson on the floor is also the who, and the person you hired yesterday, the store manager hired yesterday at store number 123, who's managing returns, is also the who. So who is anybody who comes in contact with a customer or a prospect? And now we've got tools that we can describe a persona, and we can identify the segment and the business code of our B2B customer, and we can use data to find them, and we can be very specific about who they are, and we can look at their demographics and psychographics. All that stuff is about the who, and it's important for the sales organization to understand either both who they're talking to and who's doing the talking. So who says what? What are they saying? That is the brand story, and typically marketing, the marketing strategist, the brand owner, the founder, the visionary, the board, the offsite where we talk about the values and we write our brand story. That's the beginning of the what we say. And that should flow down into a common understanding. Everybody should be singing from the same hymn book is a religious way of describing it. And in order to get that, sometimes you need an individual to be the prophet in the company. And that could be an external person or an internal person. And they could be a head of marketing or a head of sales or the owner or the whoever, the brand leader. Their job is to make sure everybody's singing out of the same handbook and to give people the pages and to work them through the pages. Hey, we're going to do a rehearsal. We're going to sing. The choir's going to sing this week, okay, which is an analogy for we're going to a trade show. And everybody who's going to be at the trade show has to know what we're talking about and the questions we need to ask. And we have to understand. So that's all about what are we saying? Who says what? To whom? That's the persona and understanding the individual you're talking to. And how, that's the tactics. So I think it sounds, maybe I'm oversimplifying, but who says what to whom, how? Sales enablement is focused on the sales organization. Now today, that could be the automated bot on your website that's engaging with an unknown visitor who's asking questions, and the bot is responding. Well, that's, in a sense, the who, at the beginning of the relationship when somebody's at early stages of discovery. So how do you put that content in the right place? What tools do you use? All of that back-end stuff, having the right CRM package, understanding what the metrics should be, knowing what the words should be, knowing what your brand voice is, understanding Who is empowered to say what in an organization? One of the questions that organizations have is, well, we got this thing called social media, and we're on, let's say B2B, we're on LinkedIn. Do I want all of my staff to post? Do I want any of my staff to post? What if they post the wrong thing? So all of this is connected to the idea of making sure that the prospects get the right information that they're seeking at the right point in their journey. We recognize that prospects are at, let's say, a couple different stages. Let's say I'm a owner of a carpentry shop, and all we do is we hammer nails all day long, and we have one tool called the hammer. We use it, and then we get a request from a customer that says, oh, can you put a hole in this thing? So we say, yeah, we can do it. We got this tool. So we use the back of the hammer to claw it open, and we use the front of the hammer to bang a bigger hole, and we say, I maybe need something other than a hammer. So I recognize I've got a problem. That's usually stage one, when the prospect is going, oh, I got a pain point of some kind. I got a problem. And the next stage of the journey is typically, how can I solve my problem? Where am I going to get a solution that's different than this hammer? So I could ask you, or I could ask my buddy who's a hobby work person in their backyard, or I could walk into Home Depot. And there I could find all kinds of information and options that are different than a hammer. I might find out from the salesperson on the floor that there's a thing called a power drill that is now battery powered with nickel cadmium batteries that can blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, wow. I didn't know anything about that because all I ever used was a hammer. So now I got to make a decision. I know I got a problem. I'm aware that there are other solutions out there because I could also use a hand press or I could use a punch. But I think I want a drill. And then I'm wondering, there's a lot of people who they say they got the best drill. So that's already at the stage where prospects are considering which vendor to purchase. Now, at every stage of that journey, a prospect needs different kind of information. Early on in the journey, hammers don't do everything. Drills are important. They make holes that are uniform, whatever. Stage 2, they solve the following problems. They have the following features. Oh, there's a whole category I now understand. And Makita drills, or Black & Decker drills, or whatever, last longer, are easier to use, are more rugged. Sales enablement and storytelling are connected in this way that we want to use either individuals who are building relationships with prospects through conversation or technology that's mimicking that and providing the right information that the prospect or buyer is looking for at the right time. And that's what I spend a lot of time working on.
Yeah, you really brought some, like key points, Martin. It's clear that sales enablement is about much more than just the tools. Like it's about strategy and alignment. Following on that, like what tools or strategies do you recommend for effectively aligning sales and marketing teams?
Let's start with the brief and the objectives. In conversation with a client recently, and I said, well, what are your financial goals for the year? Well, I don't really have them written down. That's a problem. If he doesn't know what the goals are, how do the people who are supporting him know what the goals are? I think it's important to plan and to share your plan with the people who execute the plan with you. You have a team. You're not alone. I'd start with that. And then I want people to understand what their specific role is in delivering the part of let's say you're filling a funnel with prospects and you've got various people involved in moving from that top of the funnel to the new customer. Yay, right? Ring the bell. We've got a new customer. So what is the marketer supposed to do? What is if you're demoing software as a service, what is the engineer supposed to do in the demo? What is the president of the company what role are they playing in the building trust with the prospect? Everyone has to know what their role is. And ideally, their metrics that they're being measured on, the KPIs that are the things that they're doing every day, should ladder up to the goals of the company. So what are the goals? How do we break them down? How do we personalize them? I'd start with that. When it comes to sales enablement and working between marketing and sales, let's say, I think there's an opportunity to do a lot of collaboration. I think there's lots of learning to be had from everybody in the organization who touches the customer, if that's at the very beginning of the discovery process, or it's at the back end when somebody's got a service issue with your software and they've been a customer for 5 years. At every stage, there are insights into the customer, a deeper understanding of who we're serving and what we do for them. So create a mechanism for that information to be centralized and make an individual, probably internal, responsible for the curation of that content. There's also a role for external vendors to play. I think internally people are busy. And marketers, let's say if you have a marketing person in your small company, they got a lot of stuff to do. Well, we got the trade show coming up, and I'm going to this thing next week. And by the way, can you update the website?
A lot of things to do on the
Get the social marketing
Yeah.
done, and can you get a video made of our customers? Wow. Okay. What about thinking?
Right.
What about making some time for planning? So we use a tool. I think they're readily available, and you can again download a annual communication calendar template and start with your brand story. Here's what I like to do. We have a story.
Right.
And just like a story I would read to my grandson, there's an evil witch in the woods. She's the villain. And there's, the charming prince. He's the hero. And so in every case, we've got elements of a story. And the same thing is true in a brand story for your company, for my company, for your company.
Right.
How does that kind of filter down into the content we're going to publish on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn? What are we trying to say to people? What percentage of what we're saying should be sharing and telling, and what percentage should be asking? If you're a charity and you're looking for money, you don't want to spend all of your content asking people for money. You want to tell them how you're helping. Similarly, if you're a small business, you want to showcase different elements of what supports your brand. Your brand is different because it's been around the longest. So you're going to have content about how long you've been established and why you've been. It's taking me back to my Yellow Page early days. What are the factors that differentiate your business? And they should be rooted in your values and your mission and your brand story, and then broken down into 5 themes or 4 themes.
Right.
And then you populate your content calendar. We're going to post 4 times a week. And every Monday, we're going to talk about our values. And every Tuesday, we're going to talk about our people, because our people are the big differentiator. And on Thursdays, we're going to talk about the industry challenges. I don't know what the calendar would be for your business or your business.
Different for everyone.
Right. So I think it's like, have a plan,
Right.
engage people, and then meet to review. Like, where do I get that information from the person who's not directly involved in doing, validation of the prospect?
Right. Thank you so much for sharing those insights. Like when sales and marketing collaborate closely, exceptional results will automatically unfold, like driving growth and success for the entire organization. To all our listeners out there, think of a great sales enablement as a bridge, one that seamlessly connects your message, your teams, and your customers. It's not just about tools or tactics. It's about creating a cohesive strategy that ensures everyone involved is aligned and empowered. When done right, sales enablement fosters meaningful conversations, builds trust, and leaves a lasting impact that goes far beyond the initial interaction. Build bridges, not silos, and watch your influence grow. Stay tuned as Marty shares an anecdote about pitching in costumes and making bold impressions. Stay tuned, we will quickly take a short break.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. You still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
At IHG Hotels and Resorts, we're in the business of you.
We're here to help you plug in.
connect, and recharge.
Make an impression.
And meet with confidence.
With 19 brands built for business,
your business gets even more rewarding.
With an award-winning loyalty program at 6,000 IHG hotels and resorts worldwide.
Now we will explore how treating people right in tough moments can create unexpected opportunity. Now, Martin, let's dive deeper into how storytelling strengthens sales relationship and after, like moving forward. Like many people think of creativity as something you are born with, but it's often a skill that can be nurtured and developed. How do you respond to those who believe they lack creativity? What's your take on unlocking creativity in people who think they don't have it?
I listen, and I ask them to remember being a child. I think about how children learn and explore and discover. I had the privilege of spending time with a 14-month-old yesterday.
Okay.
He's trying to figure out how to open and close containers. And he keeps trying. He demonstrates persistence. And he's not judging himself. And he's not afraid of failure. He's willing to try and try and try and try again, and then to try it this way and that way and to hold it this way. So those are some of the things I think can help people who feel they aren't creative be creative. We're all socialized, especially in this Western economic world with high tension and international competition that we live in, that results matter. Everything is about results. And don't say something that's going to make you look bad because somebody could judge you. Well, you can't be creative if all you're focused on is results and what others think of you. Again, there's processes for these things and approaches. I would say to somebody, everyone is capable of being creative. I suspect that even people who tell me they're not creative, they make small decisions every day. And if they change one thing about the way they've typically done something, they're being creative. So how do we tap into that? I want to call it childhood freedom to think and explore and put ourselves in situations where we can behave that way when we're trying to solve a business problem, a meaty business problem. I've had the benefit of being exposed to different methodologies for generating creative results or facilitating creative sessions in my career. And I've facilitated many, 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 many of them. They start with a good brief. What is the single problem we're trying to solve for? Here's a little bit of background. And that's it. So we give you some facts. And we want to have a diverse group of people around the table. They don't all have to be quote unquote creative. And they don't even have to be that knowledgeable necessarily about the industry or the problem we're trying to solve for. They just have to be people who feel comfortable to share what they're thinking, which isn't always easy.
Right. That's really an incredibly empowering viewpoint, Marty. Embracing creativity is like building a muscle. Like everyone has the ability to strengthen it. How do you foster? What are your thoughts on fostering creativity in a team, especially under tight deadlines and budget?
Right. I would say pick up a book by Edward de Bono called 6 Thinking Hats. There's a way to structure creativity in a team. I have a problem. It's the brief. I need to sell more of these cups of water. Okay? Let's get together on Tuesday for an hour and a half. I'm going to bring the pizza. Just come. Bring an open mind. Turn off your phone. Forget everything. And you have to agree to abide by 3 rules or don't come. And the rules are quantity over quality. Number 1. Number 2, no judgment. I'm not here to judge. And number 3, everybody contributes. If you can abide by those 3 rules, you can play. And the reward is free lunch and whatever else you want to reward people with. And you're going to have some fun. So typically, I would invite people in advance. I would give them the problem, very simply defined with a little bit of background. And then I would use De Bono's 6 thinking hats as one methodology to facilitate a creativity session. There are many, many, many. So he has the idea that these 6 hats are different colors, and each hat represents a different kind of thinking. The black hat is about assessing risk and being, quote unquote, judgmental, right? And the white hat is about the facts. What are the facts? What are the background? And the green hat is about creative new ideas, fresh growth of ideas. And I think the yellow hat is about being positive. And the blue hat is about the process. And at different times in a session, you're going to wear different colored hats. There's no room for judgment at the beginning. Wear the black hat after the session, right? At the beginning, what we want to do is get a lot of ideas out. And then you can use exercises like, here's a word, podcast. So I want you to write down 5 words that come to mind when you say podcast. Okay, and you might write down, podcast, that's like a conversation. Okay, and maybe that's one of your words. And then the group will say, let's take your word, and how do we use the word conversation to sell more glasses of water? Well, I think we should do something at the water cooler, one person says. Another person says, why don't we give free Duolingo subscriptions away on our glasses of water so that people can have more conversations with people in other countries because international... I don't know what they would say. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And in a session, people should be excited. And nobody should say, that's a stupid idea. We did that in 2021, and it failed miserably. That's very nice. I'm going to write that over here on another piece of paper called the parking lot. So usually I have a scribe. That could be me or somebody else. And that scribe could be facilitating and guiding the group along. And I want people to think individually. So sit down and take out a bunch of sticky notes and write one idea on each sticky note. And then collectively work with a partner and do the same thing. And there's exercises. So I like Edward de Bono. There's lots of other people on creativity. Educate yourself and either bring somebody in who knows how to do this. And I could recommend a few people if, people I could do it, but other people I could recommend who could do it. Or train yourself and learn. So that's, what was the question? I mean, I tried to answer it. I kind of forgot the question.
Very important points, Marty. Like fostering creativity not only enhances marketing efforts, but also transforms businesses as a whole. To our audience, never underestimate the transformative power of creativity. It's a mindset that allows anyone to think outside the box and take bold, innovative steps. It's about challenging the status quo, finding fresh solutions, and embracing risks that lead to breakthrough ideas. Whether you are tackling a tough business problem or reimagining your next move, creativity has the power to unlock new opportunities and drive success. Dare to think differently, and you might just surprise yourself. Now, up next, we will hear one of your personal stories, that shaped your unique approach to business. As everyone knows, creativity isn't just about ideas, but how you present them. That is very, very important. Sometimes a bold approach can set you apart in unexpected way. Can you share the story of how dressing the part helped you win the Ontario tourism account?
Thank you. Now that question was a setup because he knew what to ask me. That being said, it's an interesting story. I was in BBDO, and our group was focused on promotions and partnerships. And the Ontario Tourism Ministry Partnership, the OTMP as it was called, was charged with the responsibility of driving tourism to the province of Ontario. They, as a government body or semi-government body, had to find an agency of record to help them do their marketing and spend their money and drive their results. They worked through an organization called the Advertising Review Board of Ontario. ARB issued the request for proposal. 3-stage process. We wrote our response. We submitted our response. We were shortlisted. And then we were asked to present. 3 agencies or 4, I don't remember exactly how many, came down to a place on Bay Street. And we walked into a room, and there's a panel of experts sitting across from you, and you have whatever the allotted time, an hour, to present yourself. So in stage, one thing I forgot. At the very beginning, we had an opportunity to go down to attend a live briefing and ask questions. So I think it's important to attend that briefing and ask additional questions so you really understand the brief, get the brief right. Then you put your best foot forward. Here's who we are, here's our team, here's our strategic thinking. Oftentimes we're solving the brief right away. Okay, we're going to do 80% of the spend is going to be the drive market from the US states, and they're going to come here and they're going to explore the following things, whatever the solution was. So based on that, we were shortlisted. Okay, now we're up against other great agencies, all good people, and probably any of us could have done a decent job helping OTMP. We went back to that who says what to whom, how, and decided that this is not really about how we're going to solve their problem. The problem we've got is we want them to choose us. That's all that matters at this point. So who says what to whom, how? This group of people who's going to work on the business, the senior leaders who are going to run the people and manage the people and interface with the client. Who says what? Choose us. We're the best. To whom? The people at the advertising review board. That's it. We wanted to differentiate ourselves. And we decided that we would demonstrate how well we understood the target market by becoming the target market. I went to that meeting in a tuxedo. And the persona I was playing was someone who flew in from the US to attend a Mervis show because I couldn't get tickets on Broadway. And my colleague, Neil, he was dressed up in hip waders, and he came in with a fishing rod and a hat on, and he was a fisherman who had flown in for the weekend to go fly fishing at one of Ontario's great resorts. And I think the media person came as a mother of 3 kids with her husband in a station wagon to go to Niagara Falls.
They all dressed up and created a situation, like, real life.
Marty Goldberg was not Marty Goldberg, the promotion guy. Marty Goldberg was, I don't even know if I had my name Marty or I had a different name. I was Bob, and I came to see the theater, and I loved, anyway, and that was part of who we were when we presented. So we won the business, and we found out afterwards that one of the reasons we won the business was they were really blown away by this theater that we put on. And it wasn't just at that meeting, because subsequently when I presented to the ARB, there was a woman who ran the ARB, and when she would see me, she would say, "Hey, I remember you from that BBDO presentation when you were the guy going to the theater." So we used our own creativity to differentiate ourselves. And I think that was one of the things that tipped the balance in winning that piece of business.
Right. Yeah, that's a wonderful story and experience. This really serves as a powerful reminder, Marty, like how going above and beyond can leave a lasting impression. Let's talk about the importance of kindness and connection in professional relationship. Come next. In the business world, tough decisions are inevitable, but the way you handle them can define your reputation. Marty, can you share how a challenging moment, like letting someone go, came full circle in your career?
Yeah, I've had to let a few people go in my day. Sure. I'll set the stage a little bit. We were working under an agency of record relationship with a large multinational packaged goods company, and we lost a piece of business. We still had other pieces of their business, but we lost a piece of business. And in the agency world, as in many labor-based businesses where you're making a markup on people's hours or a multiple of people's costs, you have to be flexible and contract when you don't have the business and be able to expand when you do. So I had the privilege of telling a senior, mid to senior level account leader that we lost the business, and unfortunately we were going to have to part company. And I tried to do it with kindness, and I tried to emphasize that it wasn't at all about her. It was really about the situation we were in, and that she's a really good person. And I tried to be as kind as possible. I remember a lunch that we had actually in this close by here that we went to. So I never felt great about doing that, but I tried to do the best thing I could. I tried to put myself in their shoes. I was surprised a few years later when I got a call from that individual who asked me to come in and help her solve a problem at the business she went to. And I wasn't really surprised when she went to another job and she brought me in again. And I've continued to work with her to this day. So I'm okay to finish second. I'd rather be a nice guy than an insert expletive here, because I do think it's about relationships.
Right.
When I pass, they're not going to have on my tombstone, he sold more Pepsi
Right.
than the next guy. I hope it'll be about the values that I live. And I think that's the testimony we all leave behind.
Right.
So that's that's my brand. And I'm sure there are people who, their key to success. I remember a client, every year they fired the bottom 5% of people in their organization, and that helped them grow. Good for them. That's not my style.
What a testament to the importance of, Marty, integrity and empathy in leadership. Marty, thank you for sharing your invaluable insights. As we come to a close, what one key piece of advice you would offer to small businesses looking into thrive in today's dynamic market?
Well, outside of AI, figure out AI, because it's here to stay, people. Simplify. I think simplify, right? Simplify and unify. You have people around you. Simplify what everyone's saying. Unify the message. Be yourself. Be authentic. Be true to your values. And in that regard, know your customer. Relate to your customer based on who you are. If you're the souvlaki shop that makes the spiciest, garlickiest, most amazing souvlaki, be that. If you're the trusted advisor who listens with empathy, be that. Okay, be authentic.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing your advice with our listeners, the small business owners, and thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your insights. It was a pleasure hosting you today.
I'm humbled. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all our listeners for tuning in today. This episode explored the power of well-crafted briefs, the importance of sales and marketing alignment, and how tapping into creativity can drive business growth. A heartfelt thank you to our sponsors, RBC, UPS, Constant Contact, IAG Hotels and Resorts, and Google for their support in making this podcast possible. For more resources and expert insights on small business success, visit CanadianSME.ca and subscribe. Until next time, stay inspired, stay creative, and keep pushing forward.